Fade in. EXT. Skyline, night. Hyper black sky, invested by small mercury-like beads hanging in the atmosphere, stars. EXT. Alleyway, night. Litter blows through the desolate alleyway, a vigorous wind carries the litter up and out of the alleyway. The only source of light is from a cross on a small church building at the end of the alleyway. The light hurtles out at us almost as if it wants us to follow it. A woman stumbles uncontrollably into frame, crouched over holding her arm. She moves effortlessly, sluggish. Adreena, a gothic woman dressed in all black apparel. Her long coat whipping violently by the wind's might. She slumps onto one knee, coughing and spluttering blood from her mouth. Adreena, VO. I used to think they were a mere myth. Something that my culture made up hundreds of years ago. How I was wrong. Beat. They turned me, and made me one of them. A creature of the night. Allergic to daylight. I am, Adreena the Vampire. This is how I live day by day, rather night by night. The woman falls flat with force, weak from a vampire attack. She is unconscious as the wind tears forcefully over her, lugging trash along in its furious rage. Int. Old train carriage, night. Adreena lies in the filthy carriage amongst old tattered clothes. Empty food cans stacked beside her. A body, lifeless, lies next to her. The old carriage has been completely blocked up, any holes are non-existent. Cancerous orange rust has struck the carriage down over the years. Adreena, VO. It's funny, for as long as I've been a vampire I cannot remember how it was to be immortal. More. Adreena, VO. I was just an ordinary woman with a simple life. Beat. But since they turned me, all I have got left is snippets of memories. Little pieces of a forgotten life darting through my mind. I would try to remember every night about my past. But eventually I knew I would have had to come to terms and embrace what I am. EXT. Cemetery, night, flashback. Adreena wanders the empty graves, her eyes darting from left to right. Arms folded, she hauls up at the sound of a voice calling OS, a young bleeding woman. Adreena slowly turning, she catches a glimpse of the young woman. Blood seeping through her long white dress with a gold trim bottom. Her face contorted in pain. Blood-soaked hair, her eyes narrow, pupils constricted. Bleeding woman. Excruciating plead. Help. Please, help me, I. The bleeding woman sags to her knees, she has her hands out in front of her, covered in crimson blood. They shake uncontrollably. Her eyes sunk into her head. Her body rocking back and forth. Adreena, VO. I knew I should have left her well alone. But deep inside me, my caring nature leapt out to the woman. I have not felt that way in a long time. She was suffering. Adreena scurries towards the woman in a hurried fashion and stops beside her. She hoists up the woman's head so that it is even with her own. Large painful eyes stare blankly back at her. Adreena shifts the woman's head to the side to reveal two small, red puncture wounds. Bleeding woman. Labored, please help me. Adreena, VO. And at that moment I realized this innocent woman had been dealt the same fate like my own. Adreena, VO. She was dying, and would come back as a vampire. Adreena lowers her head towards the woman's neck, snail-like. Her sharp fangs protrude through her lips as they retract. The labored breathing from the bleeding woman becomes more shallow. Gently Adreena embeds her fangs into the woman's neck. The woman is silent, she has neither the energy nor will to move or scream. Adreena keeps her fangs embedded in the neck. Dark red blood trickles from the side of Adreena's mouth. Her eyes tightly shut. Adreena, VO, canted. She was my first ever kill, on my first ever night as a vampire. I knew she was dying, but I will never get over the fact I brought that fate sooner than later. End flashback. Int. Old train carriage, night. Adreena sits up with her eyes closed tightly, she is awake. The sound of a passing train is heard by the overhead bridge. The loud shrieking wheels sending chills down our spines and forcing Adreena's eyes to snap open. Her yellow eyes focus as the black cat-like pupils revert to normality. Adreena remains sat in the carriage, she allows a limited sigh to pass through her lips. And she propels to her feet and pulls a long black leather jacket from the floor of the carriage, whipping dust up in the coat's trail. She throws the coat on and starts towards the carriage doors, hurls them open with a loud shrill. Adreena hops down off the carriage, she looks left and right slowly surveying the area with a concentrated gaze. Fixed attention on the people scattering in front of her. Across the yard. Running, walking in haste. An old lady with a shopping cart filled with soda cans passes by, leers coldly at Adreena, and she is gone. Ext. Old train yard, night. Hobos linger drunkenly around a barrel of fire. A licking orange flame tracing upwards wildly. A train passes overhead, the people inside are nothing more than speeding figures pushing on by us. Adreena drops down into frame from above, she stares hard at the hobos that surround the barrel. Sniffing the air. The woman bolts across the old yard, her heavy boots slapping on the cold wet ground. Sloshing through puddles. Forcing the water outward in effortless jets. Oblivious to Adreena and her thirst, the hobos remain around the fire, hands extended outward to the fire. The licking flames crackle and wood pops, thrusting small burning cinders up into the night sky. The woman violently grapples one of the men, her fangs protrude as she hurriedly lowers her head into the man's neck. Breaking the skin, forcing the hobo to scream out. His face contorted and fingers curling back with the pain. His friends ogling with terror, before charging off. Dashing through the darkness to safety. Adreena snarling keeps her fangs sunk into the hobo's neck. His eyes fully open and his face a picture of pain. His whole body begins to violently convulse, like a frenetic crack addict having withdrawal symptoms. Ext. Police squad car, night. Police officer Sanderson and his buddy Davidson cruise through the old train yard. Davidson riding shotgun, catching a glimpse of Adreena. His eyes light up with adrenaline taking an instant effect. Davidson. Geez, shit, spin her around. Points. Over there. Sanderson spins the patrol car around, tires squeal on the asphalt. Davidson turns on the red and blue, the sirens wailing. Engine roaring like a pack of lions, squad car lights on full. Ext. Old train yard, night. Her attention is caught by the wailing siren, the car comes speeding forth. She ducks from the glare of blinding lights. Snarling, her fangs extended once more, her mouth covered in dripping blood. The police car screeches to a grinding halt and both officers step out, drawing their guns, taking cover behind their open doors. They glimpse at one another, confounded, not being able to understand what it is they are seeing. Davidson. You. Lie down with your hands behind your back. Do it now. Davidson's serious gaze lingers on Adreena, looking the woman up and down as she remains crouched. The vampire angrily snarls at the two officers. Sanderson. Lie down, lady. Last chance. Adreena slowly rises, her blood-covered mouth drips. The two officers glance confusingly at one another. Davidson pulls back the hammer of his 9mm. Adreena, head tilted, eyes up on both officers. Davidson. I'm not going ask you again. A nervous beat swallows itself up, Davidson pulls back on the trigger. BLAM. BLAM. Two bullets trace their way toward Adreena and penetrate through her stomach, tearing flesh. The woman is forced backwards by the shots but unhurt. Sanderson. Holy fucking shit, she ate him. She fucking ate him. Adreena growling heatedly leaps into the air. The two officers watch in awe as she comes crashing down on the hood of the car. They step back. Adreena walks onto the roof, brings her foot down on the flashing red and blue. The light shatters, thrusting out shards of plastic. Bulbs explode with a pop. Adreena leers at the two officers. What the fuck is going on? Is the expression painted across their puzzled faces. Davidson. Fuck. What the fuck is she? Both officers stand at the back of the car. A flush of fear drawing outward from their eyes. Their face tortured with worry and confusion. The vampire drops off the roof, slowly walking to the back of the car. Both officers start edging away, their dry mouths an indication of fear, their hands unsteady. Adreena. Boo. And they both take off, running spryly in fear. Dropping their guns, feet slapping on the ground, puddles bursting under their weight. Adreena stands motionless. Int. Old train carriage, night. Adreena tugs of her long coat, throws it onto the floor in anger. She drives a fist against the cancerous rusted carriage. Outraged. A hole appears on the carriage, apple-sized. The woman snaps her head back, letting out an exasperated scream. She has her eyes tightly closed, hands clenched into fists. Adreena, VO. In all my time of hunting the mortals, this was the worst of all. Being top of the food chain isn't so easy. She drops to her knees, running her hands through her hair. She falls into a calmness and lies down, breathing short and shallowly. EXT. Overhead bridge, night. A small darting object, a small dot. Propels closer, speeding. Giving way to the high-rise backdrop. Lights growing larger. A train, accelerating faster, closer. Cockpit. Lights throwing a yellow wash over a man. The tracks grind as the train comes shooting over them, the application of brakes hurls out the most chilling shrill. High-pitched shrieking, that shoots down our spines. The train rapidly shoots out of frame, the CHUK, 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 CHUK of the steel wheels on the tracks waning until it has completely evanesced. EXT. Downtown streets, night. The luminous city lights blind us, the changing colors a powerful force of disorientation, oppressing. The roads are blockaded with traffic, people scuttle around, many like delirious animals. EXT. Cemetery, night. Adreena slow-footed wanders the cemetery, glaring at the tombstones. The woman is treading slowly, her piercing eyes shooting from one tombstone to the next in a frenzied search. A tombstone with her name on it, the woman droops onto a kneeling position. Her hands swiftly bat leaves, brown and crisped, away from the tombstone. Her eyes glaze over and well up.